Jessica of SimBoxx. We're back with another daily Instagram live chat with a different boxer each day. Finding these chats really informative and looking at how each boxer is keeping themselves busy during the lockdown period it's been a really interesting angle of content for SimBoxx. I've really enjoyed doing it and really enjoyed speaking to the lads and learning about what they're doing to keep themselves busy. So I hope you're enjoying the content, and we've got one lined up every day this week, so we're really looking forward to continuing the work we've been doing. Today we'll be talking to Craig Sumner. Craig recently made his professional debut just before the whole lockdown situation started. So really looking forward to speaking to somebody right at the beginning of the career and how this has affected him so soon after his pro debut, because I'm sure he would have wanted to have been kept busy at a time like this. I'll just break that now and we can crack on. Hope everyone's keeping safe and well. Good to see the guys here, Ewan and Sean and Ben. How are we doing, Craig?
How are we doing? You okay, mate?
Yeah, not too bad. Thanks for your time today. Thanks for joining us.
No problem, mate. No problem. Cheers for having us on.
Yeah, no problem. So I think the first thing to start with is, same as what I've asked most guys, is how are you keeping busy during this whole lockdown situation?
To be honest, I've been trying my best, Joe, to go running every day, keeping me sort of basic fitness up that I can. Yeah. I've been obviously doing like press-ups, sit-ups and basic stuff like that in the garden, and just a bit of housework and stuff, really.
Yeah, just trying to keep occupied.
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird one. Like I've been working pretty much my whole life. I've never sort of had this opportunity to have a month or so sat about. So I feel like I've got too much time on my hands really at the minute.
Yeah, definitely. I suppose it's come at a really strange time as well, because you've just made your professional debut, which is something we'll get onto in a second. But normally at this stage of your career, you'd want to keep as busy as possible, and get as many fights in, every 6 or 8 weeks or so at this stage of your career. But unfortunately, you've not had that opportunity.
No, yeah, exactly. I was hoping, obviously, promoter manager Kieran, we already had a few dates, that we could have got cracking with, maybe May, June, July, September. There was loads of options there, and now I could be lucky if I get another one in this year.
Yeah, it's a ridiculous time. So I think if we can go back to when you made your professional debut, I think we'll start there and then we'll look at the backstory after that. So you made your debut on the Rolling the Dice 2 card, of course working with Kieran Farrell. Take us through your thoughts on the fight and how was the nerves for getting into the ring as a professional boxer for the first time?
Yeah, so to be fair, for the weeks leading up to it, I wasn't that nervous, and it came up to the night before, and I started feeling like the nerves sort of piling on, and I thought, I don't understand why it's hit me so hard this time. It's all my amateur fights I was never bothered about. I used to take them on like a day or two's notice and just get in and get it done. So I feel like in my fight, the first round, definitely you could tell, a lot of people just after, you could tell I was very nervous and I was kind of very, very sort of gun shy on my punches and my shots. But I kind of warmed into it second, third and fourth, and it kind of flew by. Joe went by a lot quicker than I even realised I was in the ring for. So I definitely enjoyed it, and I just can't wait for the next one, whenever that might be.
Yeah, so if we go back to the beginning, you've only just, like I say, turned over to the pro game, so there might be people out there that would be interested in the backstory. So you mentioned there that you had an amateur career. How many amateur fights did you have? What's the backstory there with your amateur career?
So I had quite a short one. It was in 2 different stages. I boxed near 10 years ago when I was like 17, 18. I had 7 fights then. I think I won 4, lost 3 then. And then I made the choice to do some education, to go to college, get some A-levels, and then end up at university. So I basically had like a good 6-7 year gap from boxing. So then one of my best friends, Eddie Kingscote, you'll know him, he took over our old amateur gym. So I thought, well, I'm back in Blackpool now from uni. I want to try go at boxing again. So had a number of fights under him. They're all basically on away shows. And then obviously through that I've met Kieran and a few other people in the professionals. and thought, I was 26 then, so I'm 27 now. I've got one shot at it, and I believe in myself. So I thought, let's give it a go, see what I can do.
Brilliant. So, you mentioned that you had a few fights back in your teenage years, and you went off to gain, an education and whatnot away from boxing. Was the plan always to come back, or was it literally like a crossing of the path with Eddie and stuff like that, and then obviously meeting up with Kieran? Was it just a spur of the moment thing, or was it always a long-term goal to get back into it?
I always wanted to get back into it 100%. I've always said to all my friends, like, one day I wanted to have a go at the pros, whether that was to maybe fight on the road straight away, try be a prospect and win something domestically, or whatever it'll be. I wanted to give it a go. It was always an ambition of mine. So once I'd finished university, I've come back. I've got myself a full-time job. I thought, let's give it a go before it's too late. So yeah, it's always been an ambition to come back and do.
Brilliant. So you mentioned again, linking up with Kieran. He's a really active manager, promoter, and trainer, of course. How did that come around? And how did you come across meeting Kieran?
So it was the start of last year. What was going to be my original trainer, John Donaghy, sadly passed away last summer. He put a status up on Facebook asking for someone to come and spar his fighter, Reece McMillan.
Yeah.
So I answered. I ended up being the only one to message him back and say I'll come to Preston and do some rounds with Reece.
Yeah.
So I did that. Ended up sparring Reece a few times for his fight last March it was. And then I continued to train with John all summer up until like late July, start of August, and unfortunately he passed away. So then obviously I met Kieran through John.
Right. Okay. So I remember the announcement from Kieran that he'd linked up, and then there was a bit of a gap between the initial link up and then obviously making your debut recently. What was going on in the meantime? Was it just a matter of getting your license together and stuff like that?
I had quite help getting my license back in I think it was maybe April or May last year. I had a little operation on my nose because it was a bit messed up inside for boxing for years. And basically I had to go to the hospital and get loads of different forms to say why I had it done, when I had it done, what the outcome was. Then I had to get a doctor to look at my nose, sign it off, say it was fine to box. So that ended up just basically taking another 3 or 4 months that I didn't know about. I didn't realise I was going to have all them issues.
Yeah.
So that was basically the main reason why I missed out on a couple of dates last year because of that. But it's all just a learning curve, to be honest. Something I've been through. So
yeah, definitely. So away from the ring, it does seem that you've overcome a few things even before your first professional fight. So that kind of adversity and overcoming setbacks is an experience that you've gained before you even laced up the gloves for the first time.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, I was training the whole time. And during that time, I was sparring likes of Anthony Crolla for his last fight, Stephen Smith, and a few others. So I was gaining good experience at that point. So I was just biding my time, training hard, keeping in the gym. And like I said, it worked out in March, and I got off to a good start.
Definitely. So you touched on a topic that I was going to bring up there. You mentioned the sparring down at Gallagher's gym. World-class sparring. Can you take us through how that opportunity came about and, the buzz of being in there with such big names?
Yeah, so I was sparring Kieran's brother, Nay Farrell, for a few weeks leading up to one of his fights. And after one of the spars, Kieran just said, Crolla's looking for sparring. Do you want to come spar him tomorrow? So this was the day after I just sparred Nay.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, I can't turn that down. So I went down, did, I think 6 rounds, first time. And then obviously must have thought I was doing all right because he said, do you want to come back? And then I ended up sparring him for a good 4 or 5 weeks leading up to his last fight. Got invited back every week. So yeah, that experience for me, I definitely know that I've took a lot from that, watching what he was doing in the ring and one thing I've learned from it as well is to pace yourself in the rounds, because when you're an amateur, it's kind of short rounds in it, and you're in and out, and it's quick, which I used to box like too much. Whereas when I sparred Crolla, I watched him on his jab, move him round, and he'd let me work, and then I'd be knackered, and then Joey'd pick his shots off, get his points in.
Yeah, definitely. You know, he's a brilliant pro, Anthony Crolla. You know, we spoke to him a few times with SimBoxx. Are you a fan of Anthony Crolla? You know, away from the ring, do you follow his? Well, did you follow his career before his retirement?
Yeah. Been a big fan of his. That's something I told him when I first sparred him. I was a bit starstruck when I first sparred him. I'd followed his career. I remember back in Prize Fighter, like years and years ago, and I've watched him come through. I remember watching him win his world title, and I was just absolutely buzzing for him. I had a little post on Instagram from him back then when he won it. So yeah, it was a bit of a starstruck thing when I first sparred him, but after a few rounds, you just get on with the job.
Yeah, definitely. So you mentioned that he was also was he sparring with Stephen Smith as well.
Yeah, I did a few rounds with Stephen Smith as well. He's very good with Stephen as well. Stephen actually, like, he's such a nice guy. He took the time, Joe, to talk to me as well about it and like help me through. And I really appreciate that from Stephen. And same with Callum as well. Callum gave me a little chat about our spars as well.
Well, that's it. It's not just the physical work of being sparring with him, but just being down at Gallagher's gym. You know, it's a stacked gym. You know, like you say, the Smith brothers and Crolla and Butler and whatnot. So just being around those guys, again, even before you've laced up a pair of gloves professionally yourself, you know, some guys might go their whole career without getting an experience like that, and you've got it before you've even boxed.
Exactly. It's something that sort of gives me my belief in myself that my aim is in my career is to do something domestically, and sparring the likes of them, you know, the world title challengers, world champion, and they've done it all domestically, proved to me that I can do it, because I was holding my own, I was doing well, so it proved to me I can do it, and there's something there. So I'm just going to give it everything I've got over the next 5-6 years and see where I can get to.
Yeah, fantastic. That leads on nicely to the next topic I was going to bring up is, you know, the plan and the goals moving forward. Like, you know, being realistic, what do you believe you're capable of achieving? You know, you're looking at boxing as a prospect, or is it an option to go on the road? Is it, you know, do you know what you want to do?
So last year, before I got the experience for them, that was kind of the plan, maybe to just go on the road and see how I get on. But obviously, different advice of people that seen me spar or seen me fight. You know, I believe in myself, and other people believe in myself. So I want to give myself sort of 2 years and hopefully maybe get like an area title, get a few of my learning fights out of the way, build my fitness up to that 10 rounds, and then look at the English. I'd love to, my overall aim would love to be a British champion, but I can't look too far ahead at the minute, obviously. I need to take it sort of fight by fight and sort of level by level. But my first aim is for that central area belt, and I'd like to get that within the next 2 years.
So you made your debut at welterweight. Is that going to be your chosen weight going forward, or are you open to going up or down? Is your planned weight?
Yes, I think I'll probably stick at welterweight. I'm a decent size for it, and I know there's a bit of room for me to put a bit more muscle on and lose a bit more fat, Joe, so I could be even stronger at the weight. So most of the time I'm sparring middleweights and stuff as well, so I can handle like that sort of power and sort of that weight. So I think welterweight will be my division.
Yeah, I think obviously, you know, historically welterweight is you know, it's a stacked division both domestically and of course on a world scene if you was to go beyond that. But you know, even looking at the top of the domestic scene with people like Conor Benn and Josh Kelly and whatnot, you know, it's a fantastic division. It's a you know, a really busy division as well with high quality fighters across the board.
Yeah, definitely. Domestically at the minute, it's buzzing really, to be honest. The welterweight division. You got your English champions and your British champions, your prospects. Everyone's at a very good level in the division, and I'm not blind to know that it's not going to be easy to get even in the top 25 with a lot of them. Do you know what I mean? It's very, very high level, and there's a lot of them that could go on to European or further on than domestic level. So it's a booming division, always has been, and it always will be.
Yeah, definitely. So across the weight classes, is there anybody like, domestically, like as a British fighter, that you like to keep your eye on as a fan of boxing? Do you take inspiration from anyone in particular?
At the minute, to be fair, like you likes of people like your Josh Kelly, like his skills and his movement, are unbelievable. And for anyone like looking up, I think he's a very good fighter to look up to. And then you've even got, like you said, you've mentioned Conor Benn. He started late and he's doing well, and he's got himself to a good level, and he can definitely push on and go higher because he's still young. So there's two different prospects there. You've got one that's sort of come through the GB setup and come through that level, and then obviously like I do look at people like Conor, who's more hard work, sort of like in the pro game. He's sort of learning on the job, so that's kind of how I feel I'm going to be. So I've not had the high level amateur experience either, so I will be learning on the job myself.
Yeah, so I think it'll go without saying now. You mentioned them both. If they was to fight in 2020, Conor Benn, Josh Kelly, it's a fight that's been mooted quite a lot. Who would you take currently if this fight was to happen in 2020?
If it was to happen this year, I'd say Josh Kelly would be too much for him, too much for the boxing skills. I think Conor Benn might get a bit too emotional in that one. He's obviously got the raw power, just like his dad. But I think the skills would show for Josh Kelly in that fight at the minute. A couple of years down the line, it could be a completely different story. But at the minute, I'd stick with Josh Kelly.
Yeah, definitely. So I think the fight that was obviously scheduled, and it's going to have to be rescheduled because of the lockdown, again, speaking of Josh Kelly, was the David Avanesian fight. It's one that I've been keen to speak about with a few people. I think Avanesian has come on so much over the past couple of years that fight's gone from maybe Kelly being favourite to now Avanesian being a favourite. What's your thoughts on that fight, and can I get a prediction?
Yeah. So to be honest, again, for that one, I'm actually slightly towards David Avanesian. Just slightly edging him towards David. He's very good. He's powerful. His boxing is miles underrated because he's not had the profile that Josh Kelly's got. So he's not as well known, but he's very underrated. And that was every credit for Josh for taking that fight as well, because he's not had that many professional fights himself. That's a European title fight, isn't it? So credit to Josh for taking it. But at the minute, I think I'm siding with Avanesian for that one.
Fantastic. So to finish with, in our written articles, we have a 5 to finish, so 5 rapid fire questions. I've transitioned that now into the live chat. So if I can ask you 5 rapid fire questions, get your answers, and then we'll go from there. So first off, who's the biggest inspiration in your career?
Biggest inspiration is probably my dad.
Fantastic. Your all-time favourite fighter?
Probably Roy Jones Jr.
All-time favourite fight?
I was thinking about this. I think I'm going to go for Sugar Ray Leonard v Marvin Hagler.
Fantastic. Usually at this point, I'd say favourite fight of your career so far, but you've only had the one. So I'll switch that to, if you could make any fight when boxing resumed, any fantasy fight in world boxing at the minute, which fight would you put together?
Got to be Fury Joshua. Just want it together. Want to get it on.
And finally, if you could box anybody as an ideal opponent for yourself, who would you like to get in the ring and share a ring with?
It's a tough one. There's quite a few. Ideally, I'll go for someone like Josh Kelly. Stick him on there.
Fantastic.
Test myself against the top.
Definitely. It's good to hear that kind of ambition. So that's pretty much everything I want to cover there, Craig. Thanks for your time. Is there anything you'd like to add to finish?
That's all right. So everyone stay safe who's watching. Stay in horrible times at the minute.
Definitely, we echo that. So thanks for your time, Craig. Take care. I'm sure we'll catch up in the future when everything's back to normal.
No worries. Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it.
No problem.
See you later, mate. Bye.